The space race can trace its origin to Germany, beginning in the 1930s and continuing during World War II, when Nazi Germany researched and built operational ballistic missiles. Starting in the early 1930s, during the last stage of Weimar Republic, German aerospace engineers experimented with liquid-fueled rockets, with the goal that one day they would be capable of reaching high altitudes and traveling long distances. The space race began in early 1950s. It was the time of the Cold War, with the United States and the Soviet Union fought for technological supremacy. Each country wanted to prove that its political and economical system, capitalism on the one side and communism on the other, was better. Both superpowers wanted to launch the first satellite and put a human being into space. The space race was also part of the arms race after World War II. The space race spawned pioneering efforts to launch artificial satellites, unmanned probes to the Moon, Venus and Mars, and human spacecraft to low Earth orbits and to the Moon. The competition began on August 2, 1955, when the Soviet Union responded to the United States' announcement 4 days earlier of intent to launch artificial satellite for the International Geophysical Year. By declaring they would also launch a satellite in the near future, the Soviet Union beat the United States to this, with the October 4, 1957 launch of Sputnik 1. The American defeat was a blow to the Western world. In the early 1960s, John F. Kennedy, America's newly elected president, announced that the United States were willing to show that they could put a man on the moon by the end of the decade. After the Mercury and Gemini projects had sent astronauts to Earth orbit, Project Apollo faced the task of putting a team of 3 astronauts into lunar orbit and sending 2 of them to the moon's surface. During the 1960s, NASA received more money than ever before. On July 20, 1969, Apollo 11's lunar landing module Eagle touched down the moon's surface. Neil Armstrong became the first human to walk on the moon. The Americans had finally achieved a major victory in the space race. After 5 more lunar landings, the rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union ended. In the 1970s, the Americans and the Soviets started working together on space mission. The race to the moon was over and funding for NASA was reduced radically. The space race produced many failures on both sides. While Russian rockets blew up on the launch pad, 3 Americans got killed during a ground test in 1967. The most dramatic event came when oxygen tanks exploded during Apollo 13's mission to the moon. However, NASA managed to get the astronauts safely back to the Earth.